A stabbing on the Strip has left 2 people dead and several others injured, and we do have team coverage for you this afternoon. Fox 5's Danny Maston and Joe Vigil are both down on the Strip working to get answers, and we're also waiting for Metro to give more details any moment now.
And first, let's send it over to Joe with the breakdown of how this all happened.
Yeah, guys, it's a beautiful day out here. I see people wearing shorts and sunglasses at the Strip Burger and Chicken. I see people eating and drinking, and a lot of people just don't know what happened. A lot of people do, but there are people who don't, and I know they don't because they keep coming up and asking me. And when I tell them that 8 people were stabbed and 2 people died, they are just absolutely shocked. Their mouths open, they get the big wide look in their eyes, and they just can't believe what happened. And what happened was right over here by this pedestrian bridge. About 11:40 this morning, a man attacked people here along the Strip, stabbing 8 of them and 2 of them dying. Now, we do have some video that we did shoot, and we've been looking at this video. We take a close look at this stuff before we air it. And one of the victims that we saw was on a gurney.
Let's bring in Fox 5's Danny Maston right now, who's also live on the Strip. So, Danny, what's happening from your vantage point?
Well, I'm here on Las Vegas Boulevard and Sands, and still heavy police presence behind me here. A lot of these roads were closed off, but some are open now. Just like Joe mentioned, people are able to go and pass through going south on Las Vegas Boulevard, and are also able to go west on Spring Mountain. And lots of people out here right now. It was not like this earlier. Lots of people out here curious, standing out here, checking out the scene, asking me what's going on. Of course, very, very shocked when I tell them.
So just to summarize, this happened earlier this afternoon in front of the Wynn on the Las Vegas Boulevard on the east side of the Strip. 8 people were stabbed, 2 of them died. According to Danny Maston and Joe Vigil, some of the victims appear to be strip performers, what we'd call them, impersonating showgirls, and they do that, and then they get photos with tourists, and they get tips, and that's how they make a living. But we don't know, and maybe we'll hear from Metro this afternoon, just what the motive was for this stabbing. Of course, it comes at a delicate time here because it was just last weekend that we observed the 5th anniversary, of course, of 1 October, a far bigger tragedy, but still, anytime there's violence on the Strip, it is of huge importance to this community, because the Strip is, not just because of the personal toll of it, but also because the Strip is such a main economic impact for this community, and anything like this is going to get people's attention here.
Rundown of the conference here, so I'm going to provide the opening and a little bit of background of the events of today, and then I will subsequently defer to Deputy Chief James LaRochelle that will provide you some more details, more than what we knew out on the street earlier today.
Metro Sheriff Joe Lombardo and Deputy Chief James LaRochelle briefing us on just what happened on Las Vegas Boulevard in front of the Wynn on the east side of the Strip at about shortly after 12:10. A Hispanic male in his 30s stabbed a person unprovoked and then went on to stab 5 others. I should say 7 others. 2 of those people died. There are 6 victims now being treated at local hospitals for stab wounds.
And they did mention 2 of those victims are in critical condition. We did receive an update from UMC about an hour or so ago. We were told that the UMC received 5 patients from the incident. 1 patient is in critical condition and 1 patient passed away. And 2 of the patients are in serious condition. So hopefully we'll get an update on how they're doing.
Yeah, we'll get an update from Drew coming up right after the commercial break, but I just want to say that Metro wanted to stress that they're interviewing a bunch of witnesses who watched all this go down. Of course, there are surveillance cameras up and down the Strip, so that surveillance video, especially at Las Vegas Boulevard and Sands, will be reviewed very carefully. But you saw Deputy Chief James LaRochelle playing video of the suspect making his way down Las Vegas Boulevard, taking a left on Sands, as other people were following him, calling Metro, and that's when a security guard and a member of Metro confronted the suspect and then took him into custody, apparently without much of a struggle.
Definitely. They also emphasized that there is no threat to the public. Obviously, they're on the scene gathering the investigation and finishing that up, but there is no safety concern from what Metro said.
Right, and our coverage of this tragedy on Las Vegas Boulevard continues right after we take this very quick break.
We are here now with Helen and Eric. They are from London. This is their first trip ever to Las Vegas. And guys, I appreciate you talking to me because I know what you saw is not something pleasant at all. And Helen, I just want to start with you. So you didn't see the attack, but you saw what happened after the attack. Can you just describe to us what you did see?
I saw a guy, he was wearing a t-shirt and he was screaming, saying he was stabbed. And he pointed to this guy who was on the bicycle full of tattoos, saying where the stabber was heading towards. And then he was walking across, bleeding, until he took his t-shirt off, put it on his chest. In the end, I think he was in so much pain, he sat at the bottom of the escalator, and all I can see, he was like shaking. It was horrible.
And you know, I guess I should have warned people. I guess if kids are watching, again, this is something that's difficult to hear. So I just want to give you a moment, if your kids just happen to be watching, that what we're seeing and what we're hearing here on the Strip is disturbing. So I just want to give you a moment, if anybody is watching that maybe shouldn't be watching, to maybe turn the TV off or take them out of the room. Again, you know, this is something that has happened here, and we're covering it, but it is not easy to talk about, and it's not always easy for people to hear, especially after what happened on 1 October. So I just want to give you just a second here. Again, if you have some kids in the room or someone that maybe shouldn't be listening to this, to maybe turn the TV off or have them leave the room. Eric, you, of course, there with Helen. So you see this one person who was stabbed, and you also saw a woman. What can you tell me about her?
Yeah, we were walking across the bridge towards the Wynn Hotel at around 11:40 this morning. And as we came up on the bridge, we suddenly heard this young lady screaming frantically, so loud, and I initially thought she probably had won the jackpot because she would look like she was with friends, and she was sort of jumping a bit. So I said to Helen, maybe she's won the jackpot, she's celebrating. But very quickly we realized that, you know, she had been stabbed.
I want to ask you a question, though. Listening to the interview, it sounded like that couple was saying that the attack actually happened on a pedestrian bridge in that area, and that the victim had come down the escalator, and that's where he kind of, you know, sat down. Is that the sense that you're getting, that maybe the attack happened on that pedestrian bridge that's by the Wynn?
Yeah, you know, honestly, John, I'm not sure of that. All I know is we were told that it happened down here on this side, over on a walkway. But we do know that the stabber, again, unprovoked, stabbed one person, then he was stabbing other people. I know that there's a video back there that Metro released. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if that gives more clues about where he started and where he ended. So I'm not, honestly, I don't know, but I know that there were a lot of people who followed him, witnesses, to make sure that they knew where he was going, to make sure someone stopped him, someone put the cuffs on him and stopped his rampage.
And the reason I bring that up is those pedestrian bridges have been problematic in the past for people. There have been acts of violence up on those bridges. Very problematic for law enforcement, because if they're not up there, they can often happen shielded from the eyes of people down on Las Vegas Boulevard. But again, as Joe mentioned, we just don't have that information right now. We saw a piece of video from Metro that showed him making his way down to Sands, but that was just a moment in time. We don't know exactly where the attacks began. And if it was on a pedestrian bridge, then that will have to be addressed as well.
Now, Deputy Chief James LaRochelle said this is a murder investigation. He said there's a total of 8 victims. 2 died, 6 were stabbed. He said this happened on the east side of Las Vegas Boulevard, and it happened on a sidewalk, completely unprovoked. They did release video of the suspect running down Las Vegas Boulevard and turning on the corner of Sands Avenue. They described the suspect as a Hispanic man in his early 30s. He does not appear to be a local, but they said they will be releasing hopefully more information about him today.
Before today's deadly stabbings, county leaders consider new rules to make the Strip safer. Commissioners are weighing an obstruction ban ordinance which would treat pedestrian bridges like crosswalks. Today's stabbing did happen on and around a pedestrian bridge, meaning that people like street performers and the homeless would be banned from loitering there on those pedestrian crosswalks. That stalled after the ACLU challenged its legality. There's also another measure that did pass the commission, expanded their order out corridor, which most of the Strip a restricted area for some convicted criminals. It extends from Sahara in the north to Russell Road in the south. The eastern border is a Paradise Road. The eastern border, I should say, would be Paradise Road, and now it extends along Tropicana to the Orleans in the west. Let's get out to Fox 5's Drew Andre right now. He's at UMC where some of the victims were taken.
Well, John, of the 8 victims, 5 of them were brought here to the UMC Trauma Center. Right now, nothing too visible from the outside, but again, they have now been here for several hours and are being worked on by doctors inside the trauma center. Now, UMC received 5 patients total, all with stab wounds. 1 person passed away while at the hospital. They say 1 person is in critical condition. That means vital signs are unstable, and 2 more patients are in serious condition. That's just 1 level below critical condition, and 1 person is in fair condition and is stable at this time. UNC says they are prepared for mass casualty situations like this.
Fortunately, our trauma team is prepared for this. They see multiple patients coming in at the same time every single day. Obviously, we had a lot of these patients came in within the span of about 15 minutes. We saw the first patient at about 12:05 p.m. and then over the span of the next 15 minutes, the remaining patients came in. So we were ready. We have the surgeons, we have the nurses, the techs. Everyone is ready to take care of these patients at UMC.
And Curb said that he's staying in touch with doctors and will provide us an update whenever he has that. We'll send it back to the studio.
Colleen Brand is from Sacramento, and you were visiting here today, and you walked upon this scene right after it happened. Tell us what you saw.
Well, we were coming out of the wind, and there was a girl who was kneeling on the floor, and she, on her side, on her upper right side, she was bleeding. She had gotten stabbed, obviously, and she was kind of in shock, and the security guard was there holding something up to the wound, and there was another lady that was kind of, helping her as well.
And let's send it on over to Fox 5's Danny Maston, who is at Sunrise Hospital with the latest information on victims there.
Well, Jacqueline, just moments ago, I got off the phone with a rep from Sunrise Hospital who tells me 2 of the victims who were involved in that stabbing on the Strip are being treated here at the Sunrise Hospital. Now, I did ask about the condition of those victims, and they're not able to give me that information at this moment, but I am expecting another phone call at any moment from that rep who plans to give me an update on the condition of those victims. And of course, we will bring you that update as soon as we get that information. But for now, I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
And this violent crime against street performers shaking the entertainment industry. At least one of them was a victim in this stabbing. Jacqueline's here in studio after hearing from one street performer now concerned for her safety.
So one of the workers who greets thousands of tourists on any given day, dressed as a showgirl, says it's certainly shaking everyone in the industry. Her friends were approaching the win, and before that, the stabbing happened.
To know that I do that same thing and I would have been working this weekend, it's really scary. You can't predict at any time when something bad is going to happen, when any incident or accident happens.
The person I spoke to says they've been working for several months for a company in town. The performers, keep in mind, are mobile. One of the team members was walking on Las Vegas Boulevard and approached the scene as police arrived. The chaos was ensuing. The thought from them, it could have been them. They say entertainers are encouraged to carry mace or a knife if they so choose, but it can be cumbersome given their outfits and interaction with the crowds. They say at times people or those who are mentally ill and homeless can be aggressive. Safety has been a concern.
And it was one of us. Even though they're working for a different company, we're all still one big team, and we're out there for the same purpose. So to hear that someone actually lost their lives, it's scary. I don't know what other people are going to make their decision to be, but as of right now, mine has definitely been put on pause.
She tells me her company's trying to reassess the next steps. She and others, a lot of people are asking if they are safe to go out in a public setting. We're working to hear more from other companies across the Las Vegas Valley and various entertainers, and we'll bring you the latest right here on Fox 5.